beside me. I swore an oath to my countrymen and kin. Side by side we sang our anthem oh so proudly. And this is where a soldier's tale begins. We left for foreign shores in the name of freedom, comrades in arms for the liberty of man. Shoulder to shoulder, but still could not redeem them in God's name, but no one could understand.
Still haunted by the faces carried in my mind through the years. I picture some with smiles, others covered in blood and tears. Still have flashbacks of the dog tags hanging from the battlefield cross, where we said our final goodbyes as the chaplain preached about loss. I've carried flag-draped caskets and presented flags to next of kin, wives struggling to accept, mothers wiping tears and fathers left broken. Daughters missing their daddies and sons trying to act brave as they watch their father lowered into the grave. Brothers in arms paying respect to survivor's guilt inside, asking why their brother was gone while somehow they survived. They carry the load, we carry their honor, we carry their pain. We stand for the fallen so their legacy remains. Remember their lives, tell their stories, hold up their pictures, speak their names, let the whole world know their sacrifice was not in vain. Carry the load. Some were living heroes to the men they knew, displayed a type of courage under fire that few men do. But home brought a silence more crushing than war. The brotherhood they leaned on wasn't there anymore. They smiled on the outside, held steady and strong, but invisible wounds were bleeding their soul all along. Some lost a battle with no warning we could find, left us wondering how we could have fixed what broke inside, and questioning how we lost another loved one to war. Long after our fight was supposed to be over and paid for, we carry the load, we carry their honor, we carry their pain. We stand for the fallen so their legacy remains. Remember their lives, tell their stories, hold up their pictures, speak their names, let the whole world know their sacrifice was not in vain. Carry the load. They won't be lost lost in the rows of white headstones. No fade like a forgotten photograph on a shelf alone. Their courage is embodied in the red, white, and blue. They answered the nation's call and served with honor too. We will not forget, this is the home of the brave. We will live in the peace that their sacrifice gave. When the bugle sounded the final call, we stood in sorrow and honored them all. But so long as we breathe, they will never be gone. Our testimony will make sure their legacy lives on. We carry the load. They are the reason this flag still waves. They are the courage behind the home of the brave, that paid in blood for the freedoms we know, stood strong against our every foe. They gave their tomorrow so we could stand free. We will remember what their sacrifice means. Carry the load. Remember their lives. Tell their stories. Hold up their pictures. Speak their names, let the whole world know their sacrifice was not in vain. Carry the load. Who are you carrying?
Welcome. This is episode 79, the Late Night Veterans Show. I'm the host for tonight, R.A. McLeod Argue. Got the founder, Darren, with us. Darren, you're going to give us a couple interview updates. Then we're going to get to the guest. Amazing guest for tonight, two fellow Canadian veterans. Go ahead, Darren.
Hello, guys. Welcome to episode 79 of the Late Night Veterans Show. We're here with our host, Reginald McLeod Argue. He's operations director for Canada, and he's doing an extremely amazing job for us. So I'm your CEO, the owner of the Late Night Veteran Show. We've managed to hit worldwide, and most importantly, we've been approved by the Armed Forces Covenant in the UK, which is huge, and also the Veterans World magazine with Bob Maxwell. Thanks to Reg there, getting us involved with him. We've just recently been, the magazine of the Veterans World magazine has been released, and we are in it. I think we're in 4 or 5 pages. Take a read. I'll put the link in the comments in the bio. It is on all of our social media platforms. And Reg, we can't thank you enough for that. It was absolutely brilliant. That's one of the big announcements, so please take a look at that. We've got Gareth there in the chat. Just want to say hello. Gareth's one of our co-hosts there as well. He's just saying hello, so big thumbs up to Gareth. Me and Gareth recently went to Berlin to look at some military history. So take a look at our posts on the social media and stuff like that. Oh, sorry, my phone's going. So guys, we're also, Jerry McKinnon in America is wanting to set up a PTSD camp in Florida. So that's what we're going to do. We're trying to get funding for that. He's the operations director in America. So that's, he's working really, really hard. He's getting a team together as along with Reg in Canada. And also we're setting up a PTSD camp in Pembrokeshire in Wales. And this is going to be free to all veterans. There's going to be no cost. We're working on the funding. We're working out to reach into different companies. We've got loads of people ready to go to help us build stuff, put electrics in. I'm an electrician myself, plumbing. So in a couple of years' time, we're hoping to have 2 PTSD camps, one in America, one in the UK, and then expand elsewhere as and when. I'm really proud of what we've all achieved as a team. We have just blown away in the past year or so, which is great. So Reg, I'm going to pass it back over to you. It's an absolute honor to have you as a co-host. and Operations Director for Canada. So take it away, Reg.
Thank you. You got any other updates coming out of Berlin? Any German veterans that might have joined us?
So we did go over there, and our German's not very good. Gareth's learning German, and he's coming along okay, but we didn't really come across many German veterans, and we did come across a couple of soldiers in uniform that we wanted to speak to, but they were like, no, we don't want to speak to you. I don't know why. We did try. We did get some history of Checkpoint Charlie. We got a couple of videos there, and I can never say it, but the Bergen Gate, is it the Brandenburgen Gate in Berlin? So we got a little bit of military history there, but unfortunately we didn't manage to chat to any veterans, which we did try. So yeah, there's your answer to that, Reg.
Well, there's an awful lot of interesting group. The two veterans coming on tonight, Tim Riley and Mike Rood, both of you individuals, you're heroes to me. What you've done, how you stood up, and you want people to know what mefloquine is actually happening to the people that took it, the side effects of it. It's beautiful. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get each of you to introduce yourself. Then we're going to talk a little bit about Somalia, the rallies coming up from mefloquine. Also, if you guys got any connections that you might want to pass on to other veteran groups to connect us up with. We're all about growing. We're all about, this is a platform we're going to create for veterans to come and talk, share their story, enlighten us, motivate us, show that you're not alone. That's the most important thing. Go ahead there, Tim.
So my name's Tim Riley. I joined in 1987, and I went to the Canadian Airborne Regiment in 91. Some backdrop for me, I'm different from Mike. So I went there without the jump course. And later on, when they sent me in the course, I found out I couldn't do it. So they kept me, and I stayed with them for another 3.5 years, including an Operation Deliverance in Somalia. And shortly after I came home, I had the worst, soldier's worst homecoming when he has a family. 2 weeks later, I had a methadone rage incident where still carry a lot of shame and guilt about. And I lost everything pretty much because of it. I had some regimental commander, base commander, area commander support me for retention, but politics kicked in and I got honorable, but they released me. And then I left to my own devices for almost 27 years until I started, had the motivation to reach out to Veterans Affairs Canada, and I needed to find a Somalia airborne veteran, and that was actually Mike. He's the first veteran I plugged into, and it's pretty amazing to have him on this call, and he helped me get my service dog. So yeah, I've been to hell and back. I'm in a journey of healing and recovery now, and the point where I empower myself. I want to help other people learn about mefloquine. They're not alone. And
you did 150 brain scans you had. And we're going to show one of the pictures right after we get Mike to talk a little bit first. But that was just, it blew my mind when I saw one of the scans, what we're going to see. But
so for that brief, I'll just say I was part of a PTSD TBI comparison study at Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto that DND funded.
Wow.
And my friend Stephen Beardwood and I both participated, and we were hoping that they would include mefloquine.
Yeah.
And so the scans show it's measurable.
Wow.
So it was a piece of my puzzle.
That's it right there.
So the light parts at the base of my brain are the damaged areas and along my brain stem. And those are the known areas that mefloquine is known to collect in. It passes the blood-brain barrier and it's permanently damaged.
There's no repair.
There's no repair of that. So it affects the areas that usually affects your emotions. So like the rage, like I call it methicon rage, like, it's uncontrollable and you're not in control of yourself. And I've done a lot of therapy, and I've learned to, manage my life in a way that doesn't come out in a pronounced way.
Yeah.
It still comes out in minor ways. Just ask my wife. But yeah, I lost everything after that.
Divorced, you were saying?
Yeah, I had to deal with incarceration too. I had a second incident where
So sorry to hear that.
rage came out, and I turned myself in, and that was the first part of my recovery.
Yeah.
I asked to go to a treatment center, which is the best thing I ever did. And then years later, I met my arresting officer, who became a mentor of mine. And when I remarried in 2019, he was at my wedding party. So I don't have a typical story, and it's not all doom and gloom. There is hope, and the big part of the hope is the unity we have coming together as brothers and sisters, supporting one another.
Yeah, one thing I'm really impressed with is seeing the videos coming out from you, Mike, how you're traveling across Canada and everything. Can you quickly just give us a brief introduction, and then just talk briefly about what Tim was talking about?
So I did 28 and a half years in the military. I joined in 1988 with the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry. Then in 1990, I went to the Canadian Airborne Regiment. And in 92, we deployed to Somalia, and I took mefloquine as part of the drug trial, like Tim. And then, got out of the military, out of the reserves, and then the lawsuit started in 2019. They added me as an advocate to speak and everything, one of 8 advocates. And then 2019 is kind of when I kicked off my tour and started driving around the country. And since you can't just drive around the country and talk about mefloquine, I do other things, and it all goes out there. And so I've kind of so since 2019, so whatever, almost 7 years, right? Or 7 years now, I've kind of built a network of people. So then I have kind of places all over the country where I can plug in, get information, if you would, or give them information, and work with groups all over the country, right? And say, talking about bike clubs out your way in Nova Scotia, right? You got the UN NATO, right? They're like 800 riders, something like that, right? Very impressive group, because I've met them for breakfast. They would meet at Steakenstein in Halifax, and they would have like 250, 300 people for breakfast.
Yeah, I'd love to get the founder of that on the show here and have him talk about everything. But, one thing, I was reading through Tim's notes, and I wanted to ask you this question too, Mike. After Tim got to Somalia, that's when they told him that the mefloquine wasn't really, approved. It wasn't. Well, the trials hadn't been done on it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't find that out until years later, after I got out of the Army. That was not something they openly discussed at all.
Yeah.
And so I'll go back to but I didn't find out until like years later. And it was my boss, who was Sergeant Ron Smith. He started a class action in, I want to say 2001, out of North Bay. And sadly, I don't know if he's alive or today or not. But his class act was thrown out in 2018 because of delays. He was in and out of the hospitals a lot. And then the current mass tort me and Mike are part of started off in, I believe it was 2018, to carry on and get justice for us all.
And you actually, Mike, you did 3 tours. You did Somalia, Bosnia, and you also did Afghanistan.
Yeah, yeah. Afghanistan was my last tour.
Did you
In
have to take it even
2005?
in Bosnia and Afghanistan, the mefloquine too, or?
I took mefloquine in Somalia and then again in Afghanistan because foolishly I thought it wasn't affecting me, so I took it again in Afghanistan in 2005, and because so many things we would you kind of equate to. I have insomnia. Well, it's 55 degrees Celsius in Somalia. How are you supposed to sleep anyways? We were eating rations the whole time, so I was thinking diarrhea is coming from that, right? Sensitivity to light, irritability, coming across soldiers that were face down on the floor. And of course I had a great deal of compassion then, right? And buddy was face down on the floor, like the floorboards between my cot and this other guy's cot, and I just left him. I went to bed, and then the next day I said, "Hey, good time yesterday, blah blah blah," and he's like, "No, man, never did anything. All I did was take my medication, and I woke up on your floor." Right? That was a sergeant from the next tent over. So, there were so many things that you kind of, Somalia was my first tour, so naturally, or even to say paranoia. I'm in a war zone. There's no government in this country. So I think everybody's trying to kill me. Yes, right. But I could have been sitting on a beach in Florida and probably have the same paranoia that I did in Somalia.
Do you find still that some of the paranoia from Somalia, Tim and Mike, do you find that you're still sometimes you'll have sort of a nightmare or a dream or hallucination or something like that will still come into your life even nowadays?
Tim?
So for me, I didn't have the nightmares that a lot of people talk about. I just didn't sleep. I was lucky to get 3 hours sleep, and it was usually broken. And that continued on until a couple of years ago when I started getting some nighttime medications along with cannabis. So I went I was sleep deprived for 3 decades pretty much. So I didn't have what a lot of people have as the nightmares. I just didn't sleep.
Yeah. For me, probably prior to, I don't know, maybe 2015, I was on all, Prestique, Effexor, quetiapine, all the different antidepressants and everything. I would have night terrors. I would wake up and soak sheets and everything. And then once I went on cannabis inhibits your dreams. So therefore, I wasn't having the nightmares anymore. And even to say that it's in the last year, I might have had 1 or 2, and then that's how I also sleep because DVA gave me new teeth, right? So I got a mouth guard and that I wear at night. And one night I woke up, it was in the bed with me. I was staying with some people out in Vernon. And then I asked, "Hey, did you hear me? Was I screaming out or doing anything?" Because I woke up with my mouth guard in the bed with me instead, right? And they're like, yeah, you were kind of screaming out and everything. So that reduces quite a bit. And say, for the longest time, or I wasn't sure if I had PTSD from Somalia or not, right? I knew I was damaged from the mefloquine, and I was out for a ride on a motorbike with my girlfriend, and we were in Nova Scotia, doing the Cape Breton, or the what's that called, Cabot Trail.
Yeah.
And as we're we started at the, I think, like the you know, the one closest to Sydney.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So starting there, and as we wound around and we're almost finished, we drove by, and there was like a rolled up blue carpet rolled up on the side of the highway. And as I drove by the blue carpet, I went, "Oh, a dead body." And then I'm like, "Huh?" I'm not, why? And then I went, "Oh, in Somalia, we had come across, I don't know whether it was an accident or what, but they had a bunch of bodies rolled up in like blue blankets or
Right
carpet,
inside the road.
maybe." And just like that, I looked at it and went, "Oh, a dead body," right? Not even nothing, just out of the blue, bang. And then I'm like, okay, I apparently have PTSD. So, but in addition to all the problems with mefloquine.
Well, there's a couple of good authors out there right now. David Wiseman, he wrote a book on mefloquine, his exposure, what he went through. And there's also Stefan.
Beerwood.
Yeah. He's
Who?
coming on in October.
Stephen Beerwood wrote Instinctive Measures, Guinea Pig Soldiers, and Poison Pill,
Yeah.
as well as Bruce Given.
I got a couple of questions, guys, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Just write it down here 1 second. Were you fully informed about this, the effects and the risks of the drug you were taking?
Zero. So what was supposed to happen?
Were the drugs prescribed and encouraged or ordered?
So what we found out later, from my perspective, is it was an unlicensed drug in Canada when they gave it to us in Somalia. So it was not legal for them to give it to us in all of 1992.
Wow.
We didn't deploy until December of 1992. And then La Roche, the pharmaceutical company, because it was unlicensed in Canada, the government wanted us to give us mefloquine because a weekly pill that was cheaper instead of the daily pill that was more expensive. They required the Canadian government to do a clinical drug trial on mefloquine using the Canadian Airborne Regiment as guinea pigs. But instead of doing that, they did nothing. And then 22 January 1993, we were in Somalia for about a month, maybe a little bit less. Health Canada licensed it somehow.
Without tests done.
Without anything. And we weren't told it was unlicensed. We weren't told of the possible known negative side effects that were done in a American study 5 years before that showed 38%, but it have a neurological side effect. And some of them were pretty horrific, mimicking PTSD and TBIs and more. We weren't told about the protocols, what to do if you experience any of those side effects, just nothing. And then me, I was given adjustment disorder at the National Defense Medical Center after my, incidents, and I was pushed out. No help at all. And then it wasn't until my second time that I started asking for help. And 2019, I applied to Veterans Affairs, where I got unrelated trauma. I never got the PTSD diagnosis, anxiety, depression. And then my psychiatrist later on tied PTSD into my thing, which was finally recognized. But the government still failing to recognize mefloquine poisoning for any of us. They just want to delay and deny.
Wow.
For me,
I'm sorry. For me, we were told that the drug was not legal and that it wasn't legal in Canada, and so we were taking it in Somalia. As for side effects, I don't recall being told anything on the side effects. I never looked at the bag or never looked at the paper. And, that was my first tour, and I would have done anything to not be sent off the tour. So, they could have told me it had the side effects it has, and I probably would have taken it. Right.
Were the soldiers able to refuse without any consequences?
No, there was no refusal. That you had to hold your hand out, that put the pill on your hand, see it, yep, put it in, show it on your tongue, yeah, you took it, right?
Wow.
So it was fair. I think maybe it was more strict at the very beginning, but as I think people started to see some of the side effects, maybe because I know then other people stopped taking the drug, right? So a friend of mine, he woke up every morning after taking the drug to like a Somali standing over him with a knife going to stab him. That's how he woke up every single time.
Whoa.
So he quit taking the drug.
So what was the explanation you were given by the leadership of the medical staff? Was there any?
We didn't, I don't recall really being given anything. I wouldn't even say, I drove an armored vehicle, right? I drove our armored vehicle general purpose. 11 tons, 10-ton vehicle, 50 cal C6 machine gun on the C5 machine gun in the turret. And, years later, it came out and says you shouldn't operate heavy equipment while on the drug, right? And we were out on a mission to go link up with the French Foreign Legion, and my starting to have smoke come out of my engine grill. Trying to think of what it could be, what's wrong, right? The light came on the steering wheel, right? And I did the course maybe 2 years prior to that, but it also meant the brake went on, or that there's an air leak. I just remembered that there's an air leak or something. But we're trying to complete the mission. I didn't have much air. I went to put my seat down to try to look and see what was going on, and then my seat wouldn't go back up. So then I was like kind of sitting with my back against the seat to sit up more and see. But we stopped a couple times. The mechanics couldn't figure what was going on. I couldn't figure out what's going on, but it was an air leak because the light was on, but nobody could kind of figure that one out. And, they say you shouldn't operate heavy equipment while you're on the drug. Maybe there's a reason for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, Darren, I just want to add, so General Romeo Dallaire, he was the commander in Rwanda for the Canadian troops. And he mentioned to his headquarters that he's affected by methicillin. So they threatened to court-martial him if he didn't take it, just for context. And he was a general.
He tried to commit suicide when he came back from Canada.
Yeah.
There.
That was from the Rwanda tour, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So how has this affected your life after service, and what does justice or closure look like for you guys?
So for me, I floundered in all aspects of my life for about 27 years. I went through a second divorce. Lucky her and I are friends today. I'm estranged from my children. I haven't talked to my children since 2008. My son and I have talked a little bit, but they still can't forgive me for some of the things of, what I did and how I was, because anger was my main emotion for most of that time until I went to the treatment center. I had a lot of suicidal thoughts. I had a couple nights where I drove around. I was going to drive into a transport truck, but then I started thinking about the transport driver and his family, and I halted me. So it wasn't until I started, with people like Mike, Stephen Beardwood, asking veterans for help, and I finally got some assessments, and I finally got some recognition of I got some issues, and I finally got some help. And then the video link that's attached, it's about PTSD and the Wounded Warriors Weekend Foundation. It's a week-long group in Nipawin, Saskatchewan. I've had the pleasure of going to twice with other veterans and first responders, where have a safe community, and you can talk about things, go fishing, music, just the healing time. So it's veterans helping veterans is one of the biggest things for me in my healing journey. And I'm at a point just last year or so where I'm empowered to become a methylquin advocate, because I don't want people to go years like I did without knowing what poisoned them, and that they're not alone. The government did us dirty, and they need to acknowledge that and do what's just and right by all of this.
We have that rally coming up in Ottawa too. Don't forget, on October 3rd and 4th is the Mefequin rally in Ottawa.
Yeah.
I think everybody that's listening, guys, if you're from Canada, should attend, because what these guys have been through is horrific. Especially looking at the brain picture. I'm looking at here now on my phone. Just
and that's just one image.
And for the
another train.
You didn't have a choice but to take it. I think it's absolutely disgusting. And you guys deserve justice.
Yeah, Mike, can you actually send us a link to your Facebook, your tour Facebook? That way, just in case another veteran who's had contact with this anti-malaria drug, they want to find out more information on it. If we reach out to you, if we could add that to our website, the Late Night Veteran Show, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, just remind me, Reg, as you know, I'm extremely busy covering 3 different countries at the minute, but you've got to remind me. Yeah, that'd be great. Not a problem.
It's
whatever you need, guys.
Kind of interesting, because I did a podcast maybe 2 weeks ago with Club Grubbery, and they're out of Australia and New Zealand. So I was talking to some veterans that way.
What are they saying about the Mefequin anyway?
We talked a bit about Mefequin, and in Australia they were taking tefinaquin. So, but I think that we're actually onto something, or that we're making a headway in saying. So, say in 1998 they come out with the Fifth Estate did an episode talking about Mefequin. They had the lady from Health Canada who resigned. She was head of Health Canada, and she resigned over the fact that they passed Mefequin, right? I watched that show and I said, nah, man, people should own up for what they did for the guys from the Airborne or from wherever, right? Fast forward to 2019, they did the W5 did an episode, Guinea Pig Soldiers. I was in it, along with Romeo Dallaire and Richard Schumann. And to the point now where I say, you know what, everything that went on in Somalia had to do with the drug, had to do with Mefequin, right? And been doing a lot of, I did a podcast with Right Blend, a guy out of Ottawa. And on his, we got 54,000 views on that, on an hour and a half interview. And I'm talking about Mefequin and saying how much it played a major part in what happened in Somalia. In fact, unless it was a good incident, then I don't think Mefequin was involved. But every single thing that caused issues was caused by Mefequin. And to say that we're finally getting somewhere, so the hate stuff is starting again, right? And So yesterday morning, I got a phone call. It said private number. I answer my phone all the time, right? If I can answer the call, I'll take it. Private number, answer it. Starts off with, were you one of the soldiers with the Airborne Regiment that tortured and beat to death the Somali teen? And I what? And then he repeated himself. And then I said, listen, that had everything to do with the drug, right? What, you know, and then he goes, no, Health Canada said that there's nothing wrong with mefloquine. There's no symptoms. All you guys are going on complaining about the drug, but it never did anything, right? And I said, well, you know, why don't you tell me where you are and I'll come see you? Then you can tell me this in person. Of course, he didn't want to say it. And I said, wouldn't that be better? And he goes, well, I don't think you're an honorable person, so why would I want to see you? So then I got pissed off, and then I said, I'll find your number, I'll find where you are, and that's that. So call me again. I don't care. I drive all over the country. People call me from all sorts, right? But so then I reached out to Marge after I had this happen to me, to Marge Matchy, and we talked. She's had a few messages, and I think it might even be the same person then that had messaged her, except they were thinking she was somebody else, like that she was Clayton's mother, right? But so, and this I'm very glad we're kind of talking about this, but so that's to bring up to other advocates, and I was going to tag Tim, Maggie, all the people that are kind of involved in the mefloquine thing, right? To say, if you get a message, if you get a phone call from somebody saying stuff or whatever, take note of it and mention it to the others, right? So that because this might be the same person, or there might be more, and maybe more start up again, right? But that's what happened at the very beginning when they were trying to shut down the Somalia inquiry. And they were trying to shut it down before it went in to talk about the drug, right? So I think we're on to something. Every single person that's in the fight, right? Tim and, Maggie, Marge, Dave Bona, every single person that's throwing stuff out there, eventually they can't stop it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's coming from all over. So, it kind of made me smile that the lady called, or the guy called and was saying stuff to me, and it was like, hey, we're on to something. And not to mention that 2 weeks ago, I had Veterans Affairs call me and tell me that I owed them $101,000.
I was going to ask about that.
You were kidding me.
And I'm like, she said two things, good news and bad news. The good news is, your VIP program, it was canceled, and it wasn't canceled by us. So we should be able to start it. And I said, no, I canceled that one because I don't live anywhere, right? I live in my truck, really. And I travel across the country talking to everybody, right? And then she goes, okay, for the bad news now, are you sitting down? I said, I don't care. I'm not going to sit down because I know you guys are going to come out with something stupid anyways. So go ahead and throw it at me, right? And then,
Good for you. Good for you.
Then she said 101,000, and I just erupted and lost my shit. And pardon my language, but then I'm just like, where do you get this, right? So you finished sending $45 billion to the Ukraine.
Yeah.
But now you're running out of money, and now you got to go get money from the veterans to go pay for your phony war, right? To pay for your bullshit war. So
we also have to remember at the same time, there has been some Canadian Forces members in Ottawa who have been ordered to return their uniform that they wore, combat uniforms. So that way they can be issued to people that are getting sent over elsewhere so that way they'll have the stock. Because right now we're running low on stock. And that's Canada. So
Yeah.
Something that Mike talked about. So before they gave it to us, they knew it caused short-term effects on us.
Wow.
And then in 18 or 19, Health Canada says there's no evidence of any long-term effects, but they won't do any studies. They haven't done any studies.
Proof. You
They
guys
just
live in
kind of
proof.
like
The
hog-tied all
question-
the doctors.
The question I have to ask is what happens, we're starting to age. So when we hit 65, 70, and we get to, we have to go into the senior homes, what's going to happen to the people who've been affected by that? Because it's obviously the brain's going to be damaged. So is these senior facilities even equipped for the veterans that have been exposed to this?
And there's evidence out there that methylquin also contributes towards Parkinson's disease. That's
Wow.
a relatively new one that's come out, along with the known serious, side effects.
Yeah.
But they won't do. They're not doing any studies, but they're saying there's no evidence to make it sound legitimate, like the person that called Mike. Like they're just getting misinformation from the government because they don't know. They're not being honest. They're not being truthful.
So with
wonder
these
why
rallies
they're
that
doing
are
studies on it.
happening, the one in Ottawa, what kind of topics are being covered? There's an awful lot of areas we didn't cover tonight, but what are just some of the topics that come on the top of your head, sort of thing, that are going to be covered in it?
So Dr. Remington Nevin from the States, he's an epidemiologist that specializes in quinine drugs like methylquin. So he'll be speaking on educating a lot of us on a lot of the things.
Wow.
You want to share any more, Mike? I'm not sure. That's one of the pieces.
Nevin's put a bigger picture together, kind of, right? He found all his information on Larium and mefloquine, right? Some of the how things were being done, right? Things that were happening with people on mefloquine, right? To say about Somalia and stuff like that, right? And then when he started to look, and then he went back in time to look at the whole, genealogy of mefloquine, right? That mefloquine, prior to that was chloroquine, prior to that was Adabrin in World War II, right? Korea was chloroquine, and Vietnam was chloroquine, and then mefloquine was coming out after that. So if you go down that trail, that's a lot of information, and it looks like they were trying to have the same side effects with each drug, right? From Adabrin to chloroquine and to mefloquine.
Did they have any of these drugs? Like we're talking 1988. I was among the people that were sent over to Iran, and half was sent to Iran, half were sent to Iraq, just after the war ended in Iraq and Iran. I remember us being treated like an assembly line. It's like one drug after another. We're just injected. We were ordered to take this drug that was we were supposed to take it for up to 6 weeks when we got back, but I don't remember what it was called.
Was it once a week?
I think it was something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I went. Now, chloroquine was once a week as well.
Okay.
But and then I think Dr. Nevin says, like, as in terms of toxicity or being mefloquine is the harshest, and then chloroquine's not as bad, and then
It's still bad.
Pardon?
It's still bad though.
Yeah. No, chloroquine, because chloroquine has quinine in it, which is the same as mefloquine, which is the same as Adabrin. That was the main ingredient that they put into the drug. And that is the drug that gave all these side effects, that gives the neurological side effects. So when he started looking back in time, then it's known that this drug causes this neurological effect, right? So then if you you want to do a hypothesis and say that perhaps the drug was designed in order to bring out all these side effects because they kept putting the same main one in each of the successor drugs, right? So then perhaps, right, like in World War II, when the troops took Atabrin, it actually turned their skin yellow, right? So, and then they would have the, you know, the or the cartoon saying, take your Atabrin because you're going to get your fellow soldiers sick, right? But meanwhile, your skin's turning yellow. Your neurological effects and suicidal ideation was probably rampant too, right? They say the first Battle of Guadalcanal was a shit show in people with paranoia, hallucinations, things like that. Wow. So that's then to look at quinine, and quinine then is also found in tonic water, right? In the British gin and tonic was like their anti-malarial, right? Sailing across on the ship, drink gin and tonic, get there, right? And that was, and because it had the quinine in it. But, and then also to say that they stopped researching, like doing the MK Ultra, and then opened the school of studies in anti-malarial drugs, right?
Yeah.
So
I remember some of those. It was coming from a different radio show. Yeah, I know. I've heard about that title quite often, talking about it too. It's but you know, with what I'm finding with the Canadian military, even when I was serving, that there was a lot of drugs that we were given that we were never told about, and like I'm saying, I'm just wondering what kind of side effect with the rest of us do we have based on, because you're having to keep the foliage down. They're using stuff like Agent Orange or 2,4-D
or all the other ones,
herbicides to keep that down. You're being exposed to it in Canada, and you know, every single firing range on Canadian forces, all of it's kept. They keep the foliage down with using herbicides. So one
of the questions I saw, sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
Is about the Gulf War. So I did some research which operations were given methaquine. So I had people from Haiti and the Gulf War that said they were given methaquine. The government doesn't recognize those operations as having been given it. So I'm not sure what's up about that. And another thing I wanted to say was everyone after Somalia, because Health Canada somehow miraculously legalized it in Canada, everyone that's given methaquine, it still wasn't tested properly. So I've had people like talk about Afghanistan. It's the same thing, in my opinion, as Somalia, because they didn't change the drug. They just licensed it somehow.
We could have tens of thousands of veterans have contacted to this. The number could be in the tens of thousands.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. 40,000 deployed to Afghanistan. So that gives you a number there.
Plus
and then prior to Afghanistan, then you had Eastern Timor, you had Somalia, Rwanda, some other ones. Yeah, Haiti, right? And Haiti was a year. And even to say, they say that mefloquine is not supposed to be given to aircraft crew, right? Because of the possibility of vestibular disturbances, right? So problems with your balance. I talked to the CO of a Chinook helicopter squadron who said, what? I took mefloquine for a year when I was in Haiti.
They gave it to the pilots.
Yeah. To some. So some got it, some didn't. Some were told to take it, some were not. And now let's go back to Somalia for a sec. So when we deployed to Somalia, we were going there for a humanitarian mission, right? the country was starving to death. They needed people to guard the grain shipments, etc., or whatever, right? But there was no government there, right? So who's going to speak out if people are doing anything wrong? And even to say, so if you're going to do an experiment, right, and you're going to trial a drug and stuff, you would need a control group, correct? You should have a control group, right?
Yes,
People that are not on the drug, to then see, are they acting negatively or positively on the drug, correct?
100%.
Yeah.
Right.
So we found out that one of the airborne doctor that was there in Somalia was not taking mefloquine. He was taking a daily dose drug, right? So there tells you then, okay, that's a possibility then. Now you've got an actual control group, somebody to watch and say what's going on. You also, while we're there, you had 2 doctors with conflicting reports, right? And nothing going on. So so all the special forces of the world went to Somalia at that time, right? So we deployed there. You had some American SF were inserted with 2 commando when they were working out of Beledweyne. So they had American special forces wearing Canadian combats while they were there, which normally I believe that's a no-no. And all the stuff that went on in Somalia. So you had a commander that offered a case of champagne to somebody that got the first kill, right? You had a plane that flew into Beledweyne, into the runway, lands, somebody comes off the plane and hands 250 cal ammo boxes to a Canadian soldier and says, take those to the ICRC and do not look in the boxes. And like a good soldier, they looked in the boxes. And inside the boxes was $120,000 US in rolled up $100 bills, right? That they were taking and dropping that money off to a mud hut, right? Google ICRC Somalia, and you should see their mud hut that they had in Somalia.
This is the warlord.
And that's where they delivered $120,000 American to an aid worker, right? So what was that about, right? Go back, you had Italian Folgori, you had Italian paratroopers in Somalia, Belgian paratroopers, German Fallschirmjägers, the first time since World War II, deployed outside of Germany to Somalia in 1993. So they came in I don't know, April or May, and they were replacing most of us. I was with the direct fire support platoon. We were a machine gun platoon that was acting as a recce, mobile recce for 1 commando, which was the French guys. And recce platoon acted as reconnaissance for 3 commando. And then 2 commando was on foot in town, so they didn't have vehicles.
Wow.
Yeah. But, all that stuff, and we were there for a humanitarian mission, right? So, in my opinion, I think mefloquine was being trialed there to see what we would do on the drug, and that, right? And then that's where you get, so you have soldiers behaving adversely to a drug that they were given. So who's really at fault? Is it the soldier who's following orders, or is it the government that has issued this drug to them and now it's causing issues, right? To say that people in Somalia in 1992 section commanders, right, were walking in front of their vehicle, staring up at the sky at the things that they were hallucinating to. Okay. Fast forward 15 years, and a soldier told me the worst thing he found out about mefloquine was the hallucinations, right? Now, can you imagine hallucinating on the drug in a war zone, right? And say you're in charge. I'm the warrant officer. I'm the section commander. And I'm going to tell the troops that are following me, or I'm going to tell the troops or tell my senior command that I'm seeing stuff. Right. Right. But it was happening. That was happening. Right. So it's, you got to question the use of the drug. And I think even the way mefloquine works, how it breaks down and say defeats malaria is not even the way it's supposed to work. So is it even working? Right.
APTN did a documentary on mefloquine too. And I remember hearing Dave, I hope I enunciate Dave's last name. I'm sure that Tim or Mike are going to correct me. Bona.
Yeah.
When Dave's walking in the middle of the compound, wakes up, he's got his rifle, and he's running with his underwear on. Middle of the compound, wakes up.
Yeah.
And he's talking about that.
Yeah. And even so, fast forward, so go to about 2012, and there was the American, I'm probably not going to get the rank, like gunnery sergeant or whatever. He went out in his shorts, his helmet, t-shirt, pistol, left the camp and killed 19 Afghan civilians, right? Came back, was bombing up and saying, we've got to bomb up. We got to get ready. We got to go finish them off. Right. And so beside his bed, they found an unopened bottle of, I think maybe doxycycline. It wasn't, or maybe Malarone, but it wasn't mefloquine. However, he did take mefloquine when he went to Iraq a few years before. Right. So I would say that guy is directly related to a mefloquine case. They did bring it up in his trial, I believe. They flew Afghans from Afghanistan to like Florida or California. They got a tour of Disney, blah, blah, blah. And they came and testified in this guy's court thing, right?
Wow.
Like a big show, right? But then if you go back to 2003, in Fort Benning, Georgia, they had 4 murders within 6 weeks, where the husband had killed their wife. Of the 4, I know for sure 3 of them had taken mefloquine, right? And so 2 of them had killed their wives and themselves. A third one killed himself later while in custody. One of them was actually in Iraq and said, listen, you have to send me home. I need to go back and save my marriage. And he flew home and killed his wife and himself. And that's what led to, I think in 2005, the Americans stopped giving that drug to their special forces and to Delta Force, to the SEAL teams, because I think of those 4 people, 3 of them, one was Delta Force, one was a SEAL, I think, and one was an Army Ranger, right? So they were all tier 1, tier 2 soldiers that snapped on the drug, I think, right? So there's a lot, I think, to be said about mefloquine and its causes. Even you look, Buddy wrote a book called The Answer to the Riddle is Me. And it was a guy that went to India, took the drug and came to in the train station and didn't know who he was. And so he eventually had to walk his way back and find who he was, right? That guy was on Joe Rogan talking about mefloquine, and his book, Answer to the Riddle is Me.
Well,
So
when we have Stefan on in October, definitely want to bring yourself back on there, Mike. You can help
That'd be
with this
awesome.
conversation.
Yeah.
Let's have a round table. One thing that someone said in the past, I did this interview with this gentleman, he's involved in the entertainment industry. And he said he felt like it was a down home kitchen conversation. And that's all I want to have. Let's get the topics out there. Let's start talking about them. Let's create the platform, which Darren's done. And let's start no longer let the veterans or other people suffer in silence. You know, they have to know there's other people that have gone through stuff that they've gone through and people to talk to. So,
yeah, and that's the biggest thing, because everybody thinks, why am I so messed up, right? No, listen, Tim, you don't understand. I'm the one with really bad problems, right? Nobody's like me. And then you hear somebody say, I'm like you, and then you're like, oh my God, there is other people like me, right?
Yeah.
There's other people that, fly off the handle quickly like me, or there's people that can't sleep like me, right? There's people out there that don't even take any medication to sleep, and they're only sleeping 2 to 3 hours a night.
wow.
Right? So
now I want to share a couple things. So the protocols we had and the side effects was to tell, well, if they told us that, which they didn't, was to notify your chain of command and the medicals people. We all had sleep issues. We made songs about making fun of it. They had nicknames for, nightmare, Wednesdays, Tuesdays, or whatever. And if everyone reported that, there'd be nobody there.
Yeah.
And another thing I want to talk about.
We're running out of time pretty quick. So if I could just have Tim, you share a little bit, Mike, and then Darren might want to add a couple things too.
So one last thing was the brain scan. So I had a traumatic brain injury when I was a child. And if they would have screened us properly, would have asked us if we had a traumatic brain injury before. And if we had, they should have offered us a more safe drug. But I was never asked, because if you have a TBI, you're more susceptible to experience those serious side effects that methadone was known to have. And it was never, I was never asked that. And it's something that's, I still see a lot of read about, because, my life was ruined, and I hurt the people I cared about the most. And, the government was, responsible. John Chrétien squashed the Somalia inquiry right at the time, like Mike said, like in the Somalia inquiry. Why? Because they didn't want it to come out that they did things improperly, unethically, and it was an election year. So they, basically, sacrificed, us, disbanded the Airborne Regiment and the Special Service Force to cover their bacons. And then just, I think Health Canada's got a moratorium, so no doctors can diagnose methadone because they don't recognize it. So, it's just sad.
I can see how hard hitting it is, and I'm so glad that you guys have come on the show, because this has really opened my eyes. I know me and Red just spoke about it before, but this needs to be exposed more, and this is why we opened this platform for veterans to speak. Veterans should be able to have a voice. If you serve your country should serve you. And it seems to be you're being let down, and it's absolutely disgusting. And I'm so sorry what you guys had to go through. I really am. And this really touched me. It really has. And I think we should get you guys on again, because this shouldn't be left to be pushed to one side. This needs to be exposed. And I'm with you guys all the way.
Well, I'd like to extend the invitation to both of you. Right now, when we bring Stefan on October 2nd, we're bringing another veteran. But you know what? Let's just have the conversation that night too. I mean, it'd be great to hear you guys' insight into it. And Stefan's going to be talking about his book, and the other veteran, the one that designed the logo for the rally. Could I just have one of you guys just quickly talk about the rally, upcoming rally? And as I said, we need contact information for you there, Mike, so we can put it up on the Late Night Veteran Show. People can go to
Yep.
it,
I
and
certainly
definitely
will.
let's get this out about this news, about the rally and everything.
Yep. Tim will know more about the rally, but I was just gonna get out and show you. Show you my rig.
Wow.
So
Wow.
just the
Wow.
You got two service dogs there too, don't you?
yeah. So I'm my older dog is 10.
Yeah.
And so she has to. She's got a bad leg. She might have cancer in her one back leg.
Oh, sorry.
But she's a Belgian Malinois, and she has 48,000 kilometers riding in a sidecar from Newfoundland to Vancouver Island, and from LA to DC twice.
You have to
And
share
then-
a photo of that. We got to see a photo of that on our website. You know,
Yeah,
we can make her like a mask. We can make her like a
Send it over to Reg,
mascot
guys,
for
and
the
we'll
Late
get it
Night
on.
Veterans Show.
Yeah, and then my other, my younger one, Phoenix. So they both fit in the sidecar. So we might, go to the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally again this year, or who knows. But
Well, one thing I'm hoping next time we'll talk a little bit about the service dogs. I know that both of you guys are aware of Rob Lalonde, what he's done with that buddy
Battle Buddies canine.
Yeah, what he's done is amazing. Shout out to Rob right
So-
now. We got to talk a little bit about that next
Rob
time.
might help me get my service dog, which is Crunch, my German Shepherd. It's under my feet right now. But about the rally, it's going to be in Ottawa on the 3rd and the 4th. Dr. Nev is going to speak in Parliament on October 2nd. We're going to meet at the Montgomery Branch Legion on the Saturday, and Dr. Nevin's going to be speaking to us about Methacon. And on Sunday, we're going to do a march from the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier to Parliament Hill, where we'll continue to raise awareness of Methacon poisoning with a barbecue afterwards. And there's if you go to www.veteranshouse.ca, you can make donations, and you can also hear about more information from Stephen Beardwood's site. He's a personal friend of both of mine and Mike's.
Yeah.
And we just asked everybody to share,
Can you just tell me the website again?
veteranshouse.ca.
House.ca.
Yeah.
There you go. So I've just put that up on the screen now. That should come up, guys. So please take a look at that, guys. Please, support these guys. What they've been through is terrible,
And they're asking for some donations to help with the cost of flying some people across Canada to be there. If you're able to.
So anybody that's watching, guys, please click on this link. Please give a donation. No donation is too small. Let's help support this. Let's help support our brothers across the pond. Anybody that's tuned in, no donation is too small. Please, guys, you can do one thing tonight. That would be grateful. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Darren, for allowing me to come on. When I walked away from doing talk video interviews, talk radio before that, I thought that I was finished in early 2018. Over 400 people I talked to, and then basically, my mentor that got me into talk radio, I did an interview with him, and then you came along with Gareth, and seeing what you guys are doing. It's exactly what I wanted to do a long time ago. As I was doing it, just creating the platform for people to come and talk. We need to get stuff out.
Like I say, this was a dream. I dreamt that I'd set up a show called the Late Night Veteran Show, and I've just put it into reality, and I thought it was a really good idea. But it's not my show. It's all of our shows, all the veterans show. It's our show.
Yeah.
I haven't got no
We're in this
ego in
together.
saying it's mine. I was just lucky enough to fortunately have a dream and put it into reality. But it's our show. Anybody that wants to come on and share a story, please get in touch with any of our operations directors, ambassadors, myself, anytime. Just come on and share your story. We're all here to support each other one way or another.
Well, I'm going to hand the ring back over to you there, Darren. You want to ask a couple last questions? Go ahead.
I think I've written a few questions down, but I've asked them already. I just wanted people to hang on 1 second. Take a look at Tim's. Let me just get this up on screen. Bear with me. I'm not on my laptop tonight, so you just got to bear with me, guys. I want people to take a look at Tim's. There's a YouTube video. Tim's being interviewed. I just want you to take a look at that. I just had it up on the screen just now. So bear with me. But that's it, really. I will put it up on the screen. There we go. So there it is. It's in the chat. It's in the comments. Take a look at Tim's interview. Take a look at Mike's social medias and Tim's social medias, guys, and let's support these guys as much as we can.
Awesome. I want to say thank you, Reg, for
any last words, guys?
Any last for having us on.
Not a problem. It's an absolute pleasure, and it's opened my eyes. And I'm so sorry what you guys had to go through. Yeah, I really am. But we're here to support you and back you up, and we will have you on again. Absolutely, if you would accept the invitation.
A lot of British veterans were given Methacon too. So there was one law firm that represented a bunch of people. I'm not sure what the outcome of was in the end, but yeah. So it affects everybody. Yeah.
Mike, do you have any last words?
Maybe just quickly. So, say on treatment wise, right? Because I never really commented on it, but I went to a place called Dimensions Retreat. It was in Muskoka, Ontario, and they did a lot of, they did breath work. They had Thai massage. They had cranial massage. So many things that are kind of, more of a holistic approach of healing. And man, I tell you, it was a 10-day retreat. On the day 2, I was like, there's only 8 days left. Oh my God, I'm going to start having a bit of anxiety about leaving it. And then same with the diet, because of the, the sugars and we should eat non-GMO for people that took Mefloquine or whatever. Man, and that 10 days there was unbelievable, right? And that's out in Muskoka, Ontario. But yeah.
Wow.
So and the only way we can help each other, or the only way we can really get help, is by helping each other. We're our best network, right? We have the best resources. It's going to be your buddy that you serve with that says, hey man, have you tried this method of treatment? Have you tried this or that? Right? It's our own network that saves us, that looks after us, and keeps us watched and safe. So the Veteran Network is worth that. And thank you so much for doing this show, man. This is what we need, right?
100%. And we're happy to have you
veterans
on
helping
again.
veterans.
Absolutely. It's really opened my eyes. I'm going to go away and look into this into more depth. It's just really mind-blowing. Guys, can't thank you enough. Reg, do you have any last words before I close the show?
No, it was actually, thank you for the shock this morning, Tim. I always loved opening up my Facebook saying, hey, Mike's coming on today. And I'm looking going, really?
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm so glad he did.
Take my phone number down, and I'll meet up with you down in Nova Scotia when I come up that way.
Cool. I look forward to that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, guys, thank you so much for all tuning in. Thank you, Tim. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. Mike, an absolute pleasure to have you on. I can't thank you guys enough. Reg, as always, you smash being a co-host. Brilliant operations director in Canada. Just one last shout, guys. I just want to emphasize this. The Veterans World magazine, we're there on the front cover, the Late Night Veterans Show, in partnership with the Veterans World magazine, that have over 1 million subscribers. So take a look at that.
32 nations.
Okay, can you send that to me so I can share that on my page?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, Reg,
Yeah.
if you can send that to him, that would be great. Guys, this
I'll
is a
send it
late
to
night
Tim. You can
veteran.
send it off.
Oh, what's happened there? Oh, there we go. We're back.
There we're back.
Yeah, sorry guys. So this is Late Night Veteran Show, episode 79, with Tim Riley and Mike Rood, and with our co-host and operations director for Canada, Reginald Argue. Guys, it's been a pleasure. It's been real talks and a bit of banter, and yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys.
I pledged allegiance to the flag God stood beside me. I swore an oath to my countrymen and kin. Side by side we sang our anthem oh so proudly. And this is where a soldier's tale begins. We left for foreign